See, when you're in the chasing mode, your cup is always empty. You're not thinking about anybody else beside you. But when you're at the place, when you're coming from a place of contentment or satisfaction, your cup is full because you are looking how I can help anybody else around me or how I can add value to others around me. Because the thing is, the growth or the success is more like collective success. And collaboratively, we can go much farther, much faster. So if you're thinking you want to do everything alone, you're chasing all your life, no matter how much you have, because you're never fulfilled. You're always looking for more.
Welcome to The Path to Wealth, the show about well-being, fulfillment, and financial freedom. And I'm your host, Hennche. Welcome back to The Path to Wealth. I'm your host, Hennche. Today, I'm honored to interview Vinky Loomba, IT professor at California State University, host of the Real Estate Vibes podcast, and successful real estate investor. As Loomba Investment Group CEO, Vinky materializes ideas through unwavering focus and mindset. Committed to impact, she supports charities and volunteers at Isha Foundation in her free time. Amid her schedule, Vinky treasures giving back, family time, and spending time in nature. Welcome to the show, Vinky.
Thanks, Hans. I'm super delighted to be here with you today.
Yeah, fellow Isha meditator. This is a rare one and the first.
That's true. Oh my God. I'm super elated, after knowing that you're an Isha meditator, and it's super nice to meet with you.
Yeah, likewise. So let's maybe in today's episode speak about your personal journey of, originally living in the United States, going for the American dream, chasing a better lifestyle, to eventually exploring other dimensions of life and, finding a more profound path for yourself and your family.
Wow, that's a whole 9 yard. A lot of things in there. So you want me to start when I came to USA, maybe from there onwards. So I came to USA after getting married. But I just wanted to remind you that I am born in a very, very spiritual country and come from a very spiritually enriched land, India. So I was very spiritually aligned from the very childhood. And I never fit into the normal norm. Like I had a bunch of friends all my life. And going out, hanging out with them, I always felt like there was always some disconnect. I was following the material path, but not exactly. I was 100% material like other people around me. But I didn't know what that was. And after coming to US, I started working in the corporate world. I always wanted to become a professor. But, destiny had something better in store for me. I had my first child, so I didn't have enough time to pursue my PhD in order to become professor, like how my dream was. So I just followed the corporate path, which my husband was already doing it. And he asked me, he said, why don't you try the business world before stepping into academia? That can wait few years. But I really like the corporate world and I started climbing that ladder. But there was one thing, and I recall sharing with my family, with my husband, with my parents, with my kids all the time. Like whenever I used to drive to work in the morning too, when I was driving, and I used to feel so much peace inside of me. And I used to wonder why I'm doing this. And sometimes I was rushing to get to work. And then the question used to come to me, why I'm rushing, where I'm trying to get to. At one point in my life, I was working full-time my W-2 job. I was working in real estate because we started buying the single family homes and the retail businesses. Beside that, I started pursuing my MBA. And right after completing my MBA, I was appointed as our adjunct professor at California State University. So all these things were happening because I was attracting all these things. And now if I look back, like Steve Jobs said too, that you cannot look into the future and connect dots, but you can look back and connect the dots, why those things were happening. So unknowingly, I was attracting all those things because my vision was not that clear to me. because I wanted to grow maybe financially. I thought I had more money, I'll be happy. So I was chasing happiness, but in a different mode with a different vision. So all these things were happening. And at one point, I was so overwhelmed. I'm like thinking, what I'm doing? My full-time job, my real estate portfolio, being a professor at California State University, I was teaching 2 classes each semester, 2 kids, my husband with a full-time job, my old parents living close to me that I wanted to take care of them, which I've been doing that all my life, my brother and his family. So all those things were happening. And after that, I was trying to take time off my social life too. So you can imagine how busy my life is. And I was just like on the hamster wheel. So fast forward, in 2010, we just came back from India. And I just went through this acute trauma that they told me I had this acute liver failure. I was hospitalized. And during that time, I had a little moment of enlightenment, you can say. So I went through this phase in my life that I left my body, you can say, for 30 seconds or a minute or whatever, because I was totally immersed with light. And my eyes were open. I couldn't see anything. So I didn't know what happened. But one thing for sure it happened was I was at the verge of getting a transplant, the liver transplant, and my numbers started turning back to normal. I was in UCSF and doctors said, okay, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to do any surgery, no transplant. We just do the biopsy and take all the medications off. We're not going to give her anything. We're going to monitor her for 2 days. After that, we'll decide. And guess what? After 2 days, they said, it's perfectly normal. It's a miracle. She's fine. The liver started recuperating itself. And I was sent back home after 3 days. They told me just rest and you'll be back to normal. But that hit me so hard. That was my first encounter with death. Because I thought I was invincible, doing so much in my life. I never thought I will die. Maybe I was thinking everybody around me will die, but I will live forever. That was my mindset, maybe. Now I can look back and see how things were happening. And that kind of changed my trajectory completely. Then I was looking for some help more than whatever I had, like more on the spiritual aspect. So then I started following Brahma Kumari, and then Sri Sri Ravi Shankar came into my life. There was Amma came into my life. There's some other gurus came into all the gurus showed up in the world. That's where Sadhguru showed up. And he just completely took me on my feet and took me under his wings. And then life has been totally, totally different since then for me, because I'm so content, so peaceful. I'm still working. I'm working in real estate. I'm still raising a lot of money, doing a bunch of deals, helping a lot of people. But the vision is different. The purpose is different. It's not I'm chasing something. I'm just creating myself as a magnet, attracting things towards me. If that answers your question. I know it's a long, long thing that I shared with you.
How would you say the energy from, chasing something to now doing it more purpose driven? How do you feel on a day to day compared to maybe 10 or 20 years ago?
So what happened was, according to my realization, everybody has their own experience, right? So you cannot just do exactly the same according to somebody's experience. That's, again, I learned from my experience. So in my experience, when you chase something, it's going to go farther away from you. So you're chasing, and you're chasing at a level that you're getting anxious, you're getting overwhelmed, and not getting it, then you're making the bad decisions or the wrong decisions in your life. Versus when you're working on yourself, making yourself to a place of contentment, you're attracting things towards you. You're creating the space in your life for all those energies to enter. At that time, your cup is getting filled. And how do you fill your cup is because you're trying to make a difference. And then how you make a difference is you give others whatever they need, some help, time, advice, whatever you want it to do. Not necessarily everybody wants money from you, right? So if you're helping others around you, that gives you I don't know, to me, actually, it gives me a sense of accomplishment. So I just feel super happy. That fills my cup even farther.
Yeah. And you can only give from a cup that's actually full.
Yeah.
Like if you deplete your own cup, there's nothing left to
Yeah.
give.
See, when you're in the chasing mode, your cup is always empty. You're not thinking about anybody else beside you. But when you're at the place, when you're coming from a place of contentment or satisfied or satisfaction, your cup is full because you are looking how I can help anybody else around me or how I can add value to others around me. Because the thing is, the growth or the success is more like collective success. And collaboratively, we can go much farther, much faster. So if you're thinking you want to do everything alone, you're chasing all your life, no matter how much you have, because you're never fulfilled. You're always looking for more. So that's the difference between now and then, if that makes sense.
So what did you originally think fulfillment was when you set out into the world compared to what you just described?
So in my previous life, I used to think if I have lots of money, if I accumulate lots of wealth, lots of money, I'll be happy. That was the goal. That's what I was trying to do. 2 jobs at a time, 3 jobs at a time, trying to expand myself in a different way. And I don't think that was wrong. Maybe that was the right thing at that time. Hadn't I done that, I wouldn't have known the difference. And the experience that I went through in my life in 2010 and after that, if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't have known the difference between the past life and now life or looking at things differently.
Yeah. You went to UP University, right? And would you say that there in that particular area, people hold that value system higher, where where it's about money, where it's about maybe being able to spend a certain way?
You mean in India? Yeah, Indian University. I went to the Punjab University. That's the Harvard of India. It's a very good university. My times it was, I think, a little bit easier to get into the program, but now it's different. I think that was a totally different mindset when I was in India, when I was studying over there. As a childhood too, like I mentioned, I came with a very, very spiritual belief system, very abundance mindset at that point too. So for us at that time too, we were just making friends, growing our network. That was the thing. So it was never about I, me, myself. Those things I learned after coming here, going to the corporate world and going to the school over here, how people were just like very self-centered, thinking about themselves first, and which is not wrong either. And please, don't, don't take it as that I'm saying, trying to say something wrong, but that's the way the culture is. So our culture is more like connecting with everybody else. It's like, can I say, collective growth for everybody in school, college too. We couldn't think of our life without our friends, So when I came to this world, it was a little bit culture shock, but different way of living. So I learned the way of living over here too. So more materialistic. So like, okay, I'm on the growth of trajectory by earning more, but through the corporate world. And even though I brought a little bit entrepreneurship with it, but I didn't want to give up my title. That's what we learned in India. Like you have to do the white collar job. That was the other thing, That's what made me stick to my job for 20 years, and not going 100% into real estate.
So how did you change that mindset? Because I know it's very common in India, to stick to titles, you're a professor, doctor, or a lawyer. And so how did you work through that? I mean, obviously being in the United States, being exposed to a different culture altogether probably helps. But what was that process like for you personally?
So there is a story behind that as well. A few years back, about 6, 7 years ago, I took an early retirement from my W-2 job. So like I didn't want to give up the title, but it happened by default because I was ready for something else. But I didn't know. In my heart, I didn't want to give up my job. And my company moved to East Coast. I used to work for Bank of America. So it's not even a West Coast bank anymore. So my position was eliminated here in California. So basically they told me either I find something else if it's available in the bank, or find something outside, just leave the company. And there was nothing comparable in the area, so I decided to take the package. Actually, there was an option for me to move to New York, and I didn't want to move. They even asked me I can just come back every week, that kind of setup I can have. But I thought that's gonna be such a chaos for my family. I decided not to move, and I wanted to take a package. So I took the package, and I thought, I'm retired. I think it was 7, 8 years ago, and I'm not gonna do anything. So we started traveling the world. So we went to Egypt. When I came back from Egypt one day, I woke up with this strong feeling, like 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 or 3:30, that what if I die right now? What's gonna happen? All the experiences, all the knowledge that I gathered over the years is gonna go with me. Boom, just like that. I did not make any difference, any impact in this world. Nobody will remember me. My immediate family, they might, cry a little bit here, there for, maybe 6 months, year, 2 years. Eventually, I'm vanished in thin air. So I need to do something. I need to create impact. So that drew me back into real estate. Remember, real estate was my kind of second job early on,
Yeah.
which I put in the back burner. So I went back into real estate. So this time I thought that I wanted to go into M&A, merger and acquisitions, because that'll be perfect blend for me. Having the corporate background and understand the system side of merger, I'm going to excel in that. But then when I was looking for some connection on LinkedIn, like who can help me enter this arena, I ran into somebody's profile that read $400 million AUM. I'm like, boom, how did he do that? So I called him, and I was introduced to multifamily, and here I am in multifamily because of that. But the purpose behind is to create an impact. So I revamped my nonprofit, which my kids started, and it was kind of getting stale. We weren't doing much. So now we fund the projects that's geared towards women and children, but right now only in India. And we support multiple charities. We do not take anything from our investors, but by default, our investors, they're supporting our cause because they are investing with us, and we take our own profit share without doing any fundraising. We're supporting different causes.
Yeah. I like that. This actually reminds me of a setup that I contemplated for myself. In the back of my head, I always called it the Yoga Freedom Fund. And without somebody actually having to give me money, they're supporting the cause by investing in good opportunities with me and allowing me to make more money for the cause.
And that comes back to this full circle, like you were talking earlier. When your glass is full, you can pour more out. So I think that was the question earlier you had for me. Why did I transition from white collar to entrepreneurship? So now I'm a CEO of my company. Again, it's a white collar, but that realization was not there previously in the previous life. But here I am, that destiny has this thing in store for me. There's something I didn't want to let go. It let me go.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I'm
also
saying?
feel like there is this thing in life where things fall off. And I would say that the longer I meditate, the more things just naturally fall off, It's not even trying. It's just like whatever I was holding on to, whether it was titles or certain maybe personality traits or something that I thought were really important to how I see myself in the world, things just keep falling off naturally.
That's true. You said it very well. And do you know why they fall off, or why we are holding on to it? We are holding on to these things because of our fears. I was holding on to my title. Oh, I am a vice president, senior vice president, whatever my title is, because that's what I am, because that's how I always saw myself, or not saw myself like others saw me. So I wanted to be looked at me like how other people are looking at me, versus finding out who am I. So when I found myself, I don't care for any titles now. It
I
doesn't
think
matter
that,
to me
yeah.
because I'm happy I'm contented, and I am like super chilled in my space wherever I am today. I do not need to chase anything. And I know that even if I don't do anything, things are still happening. Like Sadhguru says too all the time. I say that too all the time. I'm just sitting back and seeing the magic happen in front of my eyes all the time. And I didn't
Yeah.
even know that we're going to have this conversation today. You reach out to me. I didn't even know that you're my Isha brother. And I'm super excited. And seriously, I think this is the best of my time to spend this time with you.
Yeah, I agree. You know that I would say that around maybe 30 to 30% to 40% of the podcasts that I have, they feel like a complete state of flow, and it's almost like pretty much meditation. And I love it
Yeah.
when that happens, when it really clicks and there's something to it. And in general, I kind of use that as a guide in my life. Like when I experience a state of flow or a state of meditation while I'm doing something, while I'm working towards something, I take that as a guide that I'm on the right track. Rather than if I'm trying to, for example, chase something or push for something and it causes more disturbance or more friction, I now take that kind of as a signal that maybe I'm pursuing the wrong thing. Because in the past, I was really, really good at forcing things into existence, almost like making certain career moves just out of pure will. But it never really felt like ultimately, like deeply within myself. If this is for a man, maybe before I even knew what intuition was, it never felt right. But now there's things that clearly feel right, and I'm really trying to follow those.
I agree with you 100% on that. And there is a book called Flow. I'm not sure if you read that. It's
I haven't read it,
by
but I
Dr.
heard about it.
Mihai. Yeah, it's by, I think it's Mihai, Mihai. That's the name of the author. And that book is about the optimal experience. That's what you're talking about. And that's what it is, because when you are in the flow state, you are the optimal experience in your life. And then I think Dr. Mihai, he talks about in the book too, like in the symphony, how the music conductor, his hands are going just like that because he's in the flow state. He doesn't even know what's going. It's so natural to him because your productivity and your capacity is matching at that level. You are in the flow state. You do not have to do any effort. And most of the time, what happens is either you do not have the capacity to reach here, or the things here is very easy coming to you, is below your capacity, and then you need to raise the bar. So you're never in a balanced state. So optimal experience is when you're at the balanced state and the things are happening. And in that state, when you're in that state, I have seen many more doors open up for you. Many more opportunities come your way. And since you're coming from a state of fulfillment, you are able to avail those opportunities. You are not overthinking, and you're taking a balanced approach, and you're taking the calculated risk at that time.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I think especially, having that sense of internal fulfillment. And, there's, not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he talks a lot about basically starting your day by really visualizing with such a level of focus that you already feel the outcome of what you would like to do in life. And by getting to that state within yourself where the body actually doesn't know the difference anymore, the body feels like it actually got whatever you wanted. So basically the need of having to get it is gone in that moment because you already had the feeling. And the feeling is really what we're always after in life. Like, we don't really want the nice car just because it brings us from A to B. We want it for how it makes us feel while we get into it or while people look at us in the car. It's about the feeling. It's not about the functionality of the car most of the time. And, by having that feeling before you actually maybe get the physical or like the car, for example, or an accomplishment, the need to get it is gone. And therefore, it's a lot easier to get it because you're already coming from a state of fulfillment and flow and not out of need.
That's true. I agree with you 100%. See, that's where, like I was saying earlier, you make yourself magnet.
Yeah.
Like you are attracting things versus chasing things. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a very, I would say, hard phenomena or a little bit foreign phenomena too for a lot of people. I mean, if you talk to me about that, like 20 years ago, I wouldn't have an understand that, the difference between the two. Because even I was chasing, I was attracting some, getting some, I would have said that, oh no, I'm a magnet, I'm doing this. But now I'm at a place that I can clearly see the difference,
Yeah.
how you make yourself magnet or how you attract things versus how you're chasing things. And I think Tony Robbins, he talks about that too all the time. And I went to one of his program on the Unleashing the Power Within You. And he stresses that too. Like I think basic is like you need to know who you are. You need to know your strengths. That goes beyond, way beyond your technical skill set. And even you say, oh, I identify myself that I'm very warm or very generous. I think it goes way beyond that as well. So
Yeah.
you need to know who you are in order to portray yourself out in the world. You need to see who you are. Don't try to see yourself from other people's lenses, or because they're gonna see you whatever their experience is, and then
But this,
whatever you're saying. A lot of people think, oh, why should I say this? There's hesitation always. I shouldn't say this, or I should polish this, I should polish that. But you are saying it from your experience. And it depends on other person's experience, how he's perceiving it, or how much he's perceiving it. Not necessarily that each and every word that's coming out of your mouth is making the same meaning at the other end. Because you do not know
yeah.
what their experiences are. They're going to conceive all the information based on their knowledge, their experience. And they could be, relaying a totally different story or narrating a totally different story in their mind.
Yeah.
That's what they used to say when we were little kids. You might have heard that too. You start one gossip and starts from point A. By the time it's going to get to point D, it's going to be totally different story.
Yeah. Like the Chinese whisper,
Yeah,
once it gets
exactly.
around, it's completely distorted. Yeah. And I think despite all of the ability of attracting things, I would say, just to clarify, I think there's still a place for how Tony Robbins says it, massive action. I think you, as well as me, we're not just levitating in bed, thinking about things, attracting them. We're still putting a lot of action behind it.
Yeah. Action is very important because not just like you think, oh, I did my yoga in the morning or I did my meditation for 2 hours or whatever kriyas you're doing. I do that too every morning, couple hours dedicated to me. Then I think, okay, I'm a magnet, I'm attracting, everything's are happening. Not necessarily. Action is very important in your life. That's going to move the needle. But the only difference is when you're in this state of mind, like we're talking about the flow and the optimal experience, you are not scared of taking any action.
Yeah.
Because you're on the road, you're taking the action because you are taking the risk. Because you have put yourself in a position when you see things beyond everybody else, beyond the average limitations, and you're ready to take on the risk. And the massive action is going to move the needle for you. And that's where sense of accomplishment comes, sense of satisfaction comes. Then you feel like so overwhelmed. Oh my God, these things are happening for me. Let me go share out with everybody else around me. But the only thing is that everybody around everybody around you is not gonna perceive the things as you are perceiving, like I mentioned earlier. And they might not get the point the way you're seeing it, and they might miss the boat. And I'm gonna bring it to real estate. Yeah, like you said, we work on deals, multiple deals, and you see the deal, oh my God, this deal is gonna perform. Like one of our deals, we went full cycle in 11 months. with 2.2x returns with 120% in depreciation. So where could you go wrong? It's a unicorn deal, right? But the thing is, sometimes when you're sharing that kind of information with people, okay, this is the deal, we are doing this is our team, and this is our projection, that's how it's going to look like. Not everybody is going to be on board. Not everybody is going to get the point, because they are coming there wherever they are from their experiences, from their knowledges, from their knowledge. They are making the decisions for themselves, and they're taking the action accordingly. So it's very important to increase your perception, to increase your experiences, so you're able to take more risk and better actions. So that's more profitable for you in the overall, whether it comes to your health or wealth or your life or happiness, your family, because everywhere you have to take action. If you don't take action, you're kind of in a stale mode. You won't be able to do anything.
Yeah, and I think more experience leads to better judgment, and you can show the best deal, whether it's for health, wealth, or spirituality. You could show somebody like this is literally the golden gate. You just have to pass through it. And if they don't have the experience and the context to make good judgment for themselves, they might still miss the opportunity.
And that's how it happens, And then 10 years down the road, you'll say, oh my God, I wish I could have started earlier. I would have done that. Because you were limiting yourself with your own experiences. Nobody was stopping you. Everybody has the same level of, what do you say? Everybody has the same level of potential. Everybody has a similar potential. Everybody has the similar opportunities if they decide to look at the opportunities. And everybody has everything the same. But the only difference between the successful and not so successful is the people who are more successful, they are taking the opportunities or challenges and they are making their life better or their trajectory better, because they are coming from a space where they can see beyond their limitations. And here are the people with the limited beliefs or staying within their bubble, like we're talking earlier. And then with the limited beliefs, they can do only so much because they're always attracting negativity. They're just thinking, what if didn't happen? What's going to happen? What if I lose? What if I didn't get through this thing? So guess what happens? You're losing. You don't get through the things. And here the positive people, they're like, oh, I'm going to make this happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to double up the money. Or my life is going to be better. Yes, I have time to spend with my family, with my parents. I'm going to take care of my parents. So all this, again, boils down to your mindset, everybody says. But it's just like, again, breaking those patterns and breaking those limitations is very important to change your mindset.
Yeah. And I think this is very nuanced, because sometimes we might think we have a positive mindset, but because we're stuck in our head, we don't really know. And this is where I think simple affirmations might not actually work to the degree, because it's much deeper than that. You have to get into a certain state within yourself that's just beyond even just affirming a certain language, or it's just you have to really tune in with yourself and come from that space of abundance and fulfillment. And then you double up with positivity and a lot of action, and then I think there's really no limit to what we could achieve.
That's true. And then I'm gonna emphasize on that what you said earlier. So I'm going to bring you back to your earlier comment, how you were talking about tuning into yourself. You're talking about the experience of the car. You just wanted to get a car, not just for the sake of getting a car, because the experience that you're creating. And then you are talking about, your body doesn't know that you actually have it or you don't have it, right? Or your mind doesn't know, because it doesn't know the difference between the thing that you actually have it or you're thinking about having it. That's what you were talking about earlier, right? So it boils down to that, any experience when you're attracting something towards you, like abundance or anything, you have to feel it. Just by saying it, I'm attracting something you're not attracting. Let's say I'm trying to attract $1 million or $10 million or $1 billion. I say that every day. Oh, I'm going to have it. No, it does not work that. You have to feel it like you have those $1 billion, and how you're living your life at that time without any boundaries, any limitations. So you have to create the environment around you or your surroundings like that you're feeling fulfilled, that you have that, and you're not running after that, or you're not creating the need, I need to have that, or I will do that when I have that. Then you will achieve that. And then that's what the law of attraction is. Law of attraction does not work if you just doing your daily affirmations. Maybe to some extent it will work, but not necessarily you say, oh, by saying it daily, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, versus just like having the feeling of having already in place and feeling how you're feeling after having it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? A little bit too confusing.
Yeah, but therefore not having the need to actually ever have it. So it's a beautiful space to live in. And which kind of leads me to one of my favorite questions. And we've touched up on it in so many ways, but maybe you can kind of boil it down into one sentence or a statement. Is what do you consider a life well lived?
Why life well lived?
Yeah.
I think for me, life well lived is when I'm fully experiencing everything, whatever's coming my way. I do not have any ifs and buts. I don't want it to question anything. Whatever comes my way, I want it to live fully in that moment and be present. And then I'm not sure if this is a portal to share, but I wanted to share. I wanted to experience when I leave this body too. I wanted to be fully awake. And I have touched that somewhat. I have experienced that, what it's going to be like. But when it's going to come actually to me, I want it to be fully awake and fully aware. And that's what I will call it, life lived fully. And now while making that difference in others' life who's coming around you, like my personal goal is to touch 1 million lives in a meaningful way before I exit. And that's what I try to do on a daily basis.
Mic drop. I also like the way you said exit. You know, it sounds like a business exit, an investment exit. It's like I'm exiting my body.
I'm exiting my life. Yes. Yeah. That's what my goal is. Somebody asked me, oh, how are you keeping account? How would you keep account that's you touch 1 million lives? I'm like, this is my goal. I could go beyond 1 million if, my life allows me, or the way I'm living. If the nature allows me, would love to do that. And the other question was asked at one point when I said I wanted to touch 1 million lives. And this person said, why so small goal? You might have already touched 1 million lives. Why you think you can do only make a difference in 1 million people's life? You can do much more than that. And that was like, again, thought provoking. I'm like, why can't I raise my bar? Why always say 1 million lives?
Yeah. What about the other 8 billion people on the planet?
Exactly. I know this was some billionaire who was talking to me, and then he asked me, what is your hairy, audacious goal? I'm like, I wanted to touch 1 million lives in a meaningful way. It's like, oh, what a small goal. Why you think 1 million? What happened to others?
Well, it depends how meaningful you touch that 1
Yeah.
million people. They can easily turn into a billion, like it just depends on how deeply we can touch.
That's true. And the other thing is, when you touch some life and somebody comes your way, you do not know what way you touch them. And that
Yeah.
person can go touch many other lives
Yeah.
on the same note. So
I
it's
call
kind of
it,
a ripple effect if you look at it in a
yeah.
bigger schema.
Yeah. It's like planting seeds, and you don't know what the next the kind of the next vintage of trees, of seeds that come up, they might turn into so many more seeds that you can't even know about right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, Winky, this has been well beyond real estate and truly the path to wealth in so many ways. Thank you so much for making the time to speaking to me today. Where can people connect with you, find out more about upcoming opportunities, or just talk to you?
Yeah, thanks first of all for inviting me to your podcast. I really enjoyed it. And you can connect with me on loombainvest.com. I do have a free ebook as well where I reveal the syndication secrets. You're welcome to download that. Other than that, you can connect with me on the social media. I'm very active on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So, once again, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I look forward to reciprocate that.
And I'll also make sure to add everything in the show notes so that everybody has a link to all the social media as well as your website and the ebook.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us at The Path to Wealth. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Check out our upcoming guests and be sure to share it with all your friends and family that want to take their life to the next level of wealth.